Hi, I'm Scott. Welcome to Synth Stuff. This is the Roland GAIA SH-01. This is a synthesizer that I have championed for a number of years. It's a fantastic synthesizer for learning subtractive synthesis on, and Roland has just discontinued it. To be fair, it's been sold for over a decade. It's a great synthesizer. It's digital, so it's virtual analog. Or is it? Actually, this is a sampler. Believe it or not, it's a sampler. Well, sort of not a sampler, but a sampler. Okay, well, a rompler. In the purest form of a virtual analog synthesizer, like any of the others you see here, like the Cobalt, the GD800 for one, it's not generating waveforms from an algorithm. It has different waveforms in it, sawtooth and triangle and square wave, all the waveforms that you'd expect to have in a virtual analog synthesizer, but it doesn't actually generate them. Instead, it has recordings of those samples in ROM, and it's simply playing them back as a loop when you select the appropriate waveform. So it's not really a virtual analog because it's playing samples, and then it's modeling those through its amplifier and filter. More evidence of the sampling roots of the SH-01. It has a built-in general MIDI engine, which most of you aren't even going to remember what that is. It basically means that you can play a whole bunch of different sounds, guitars and pianos and drums and so on, based on what MIDI channel you're sending it on. And it also has a bizarre PCM mode where you can play organs and this weird doodah sound and so on by putting it in that special mode. But let's talk about the virtual analog synth part of it. How do we know that it's playing samples? If you listen to it, it's not immediately obvious, but let's record some and then play it back and we can see exactly why we know that this is a sampler. First off, I'm going to play the same key over and over, and if you listen, every time I play it, it's going to sound exactly the same. And what I have selected here is a supersaw. If you listen, there's a little bit of phasing in there because it has multiple copies of the same sawtooth waveform being played, and you can hear them phasing exactly the same way every time I play it. Okay, well, it could be that it's just using the algorithm to generate and phase the waveforms the same way every time, but I don't think so. If I actually play a note and listen to it and then have a look at it, we can see the loop actually repeating. You can see in the waveform here that it has the same loop, and you can see that pattern repeating over and over and over again. More telling, however, is if we go up a few notes, and then instead of playing a C, I'm going to play an F. We see the exact same pattern, but the frequency at which the pattern is occurring is faster. If it was actually truly modeling that oscillator, that pattern would stay the same rate, it would just be at a higher pitch. But instead, in order to get the higher pitch, it's taking the loop of the sample and just playing it faster, which means that loop that it's playing, the pattern of that we're seeing there repeating, occurs quicker because it is a loop. It's not being generated. Lastly, let's play a scale of several octaves, and then we're going to show it what it looks like as a spectrogram on the screen. As you can see, we have multi-samples. If we look right here, you can see here is one sample, and it's being played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes, so one octave. And then the next octave, it starts playing a different sample for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes. And then we have here one for another 7 notes. And how we know this is we can look at the spectrograph. If we look at this sample here, we can see that it's actually topping out at about 13 to 14 kilohertz. However, as we're playing the note, the top end frequency goes higher and higher and higher because it's playing that sampler faster and faster. So the high frequency sound that's only at 12 kilohertz here gets raised up and up and up until we're up here, we're almost at 19 kilohertz. And then we switch to the next sample and we drop down to about 12 kilohertz again. You can see it goes up, and this sample is only used for 4 notes, and then the next sample gets used for 5 notes. So you can see it's actually using different samples across the key bed to play back the loops to generate those actual tones. Well, that's it. A quick and dirty synthesizer expose on the Roland GAIA SH-01. Like I said, you can no longer buy these new. Roland recently discontinued them, which is a real shame because it's actually, for its failings, it's a great synthesizer. It's a nice size, nice 3-octave key bed. It sounds good. It's got 3 independent engines. The sounds that it can actually do are really quite good. It's easy to program. It is a true knob per function synth. I actually did an entire review on this synthesizer. I'm going to put a link to it in the description below and up here somewhere on the screen. That's it. I hope you like what you saw. If you do, please click like, subscribe, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. Thanks for watching.